Multiple myeloma, it is a clonal plasma cell proliferative disorder. So what is it? It is a clonal plasma cell proliferative disorder. So the plasma cells are proliferating. So this will be characterized by abnormal increase of monoclonal paraprotein. So plasma cells are proliferating. There is a clonal plasma cell proliferative disorder and increase of monoclonal paraprotein. So this will lead to specific end organ damage. So and the consequences of undiagnosed disease are very severe. Multiple myeloma, it is a clonal plasma cell proliferative disorder, and because of the plasma cell proliferations there will be an abnormal increase of monoclonal immunoglobulins. So what is increasing because of this clonal plasma cell proliferation? Monoclonal immunoglobulins are increased. So unchecked, the excess production of these plasma cells, they can ultimately lead to specific end organ damage. So plasma cells are proliferating, monoclonal immunoglobulins are increasing, and there will be a end organ damage. So most commonly, so this is seen when at least one of the following clinical manifestations are present. That is, patient will have at least one, so this is seen when at least one of the following clinical manifestations are present. So patient will have hypercalcemia, there will be a renal dysfunction, anemia, or a bone pain accompanied by lytic lesions. So what does the patient have? Patient have this hypercalcemia, patient will have this renal dysfunction, anemia, or there will be a bone pain accompanied by lytic lesions, and the differential is broad with any of these symptoms or finding, but it is imperative that multiple myeloma be kept in mind as part of the differential. And what is the etiology? The exact etiology is unknown, but frequent alterations and translocations in the promoter genes. So what is there? Alterations and translocations in the promoter gene, especially chromosome 14. They are commonly found in multiple myeloma, and they play a role in disease development. So what is the etiology? Alterations and translocations in the alterations will be there and translocations will be there in the promoter genes. So in addition, other oncogenes such as NRAS, KRAS and BRAF participate in plasma cell proliferation. What are the other oncogenes? NRAS, KRAS and BRAF. Other oncogenes such as NRAS, KRAS and BRAF participate in plasma cell proliferation, and other factors contributing to disease occurrence include obesity, alcohol consumption, environmental such as insecticides, organic solvents, Agent Orange and radiation exposure. So apart from this, other factors are obesity, alcohol consumption, environmental such as insecticides, organic solvents, Agent Orange and radiation exposure. This is epidemiology. It is relatively uncommon and represents only 1.8% of all the newer cases diagnosed in the United States, and it occurs predominantly in the geriatric population. Median age at diagnosis will be 70 years, and this is more commonly seen in males than in females. 1.4:1, so more commonly seen in males, and median age at diagnosis is about 70 years, and increased incidence in African American and black populations by as much as twofold compared to whites. So the increased incidence is seen in African American and black populations twofold compared to whites. So what is the pathophysiology of multiple myeloma? So essentially a stage in this is essentially a stage in the spectrum of monoclonal gammopathy. So what is the stage? It it is thought to arise from a pre-malignant. So this is arising from a pre-malignant asymptomatic phase of clonal plasma cell growth. So just only plasma cells are just proliferating, and this is asymptomatic. So this is the pre-malignant phase. So this is called as monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance. So what is this called? Monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance. So this is defined as, what is this monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance? Detecting monoclonal immunoglobulins. So what are we detecting? Monoclonal immunoglobulins in the blood or urine. Okay, we are detecting the monoclonal immunoglobulins because of plasma cell proliferation in the blood, or we are detecting in the urine without any evidence of end organ damage. So there is no evidence of end organ damage, and this is quite common, and it is known to be so this monoclonal gammopathy of unknown significance, it is quite common, detectable in over 3% of persons above the age of 50 years, and it appears that the cell, what is the cell of origin? It is a post-germinal center plasma cell. Okay, and it is a benign condition. And so how much risk of progression to multiple myeloma? This monoclonal gammopathy progressing to multiple myeloma at a rate of about 1% per year. Okay, the cell of origin is a post-germinal center plasma cell. It's typically a benign condition, and it has a risk of progression of multiple myeloma about 1% per year. So the exact causes of monoclonal gammopathy of unknown significance, undetermined significance, and progression to multiple myeloma remain unknown. However, as noted above, genetic alterations, they cause an increased expression of promoter genes or resistant to apoptosis. So what is happening? The promoter genes are expressed in increased proportion, and there is resistance to apoptosis. So both will result in plasma cell proliferation and population. So under the second hit hypothesis, under the second hit hypothesis, progression could also be a consequence of additional cytogenetic lesions. Okay, so progression could also be a consequence of additional cytogenetic lesions gained by the original plasma cell clone. So this plasma cell clone is gaining additional cytogenetic lesions, so caused either by genetic instability or abnormalities in the hematopoietic microenvironment. So regardless of the molecular driver, once there is excess monoclonal immunoglobulins, because of there is a excess monoclonal immunoglobulin, so what will happen? There will be hyperviscosity, there will be platelet dysfunction, and renal tubular damage can occur, leading to neurological derangements, bleeding, and renal failure respectively. So the monoclonal immunoglobulins are in excess. So this will lead to hyperviscosity, and platelet dysfunction, and renal tubular damage can occur. So this will lead to neurological derangements, bleeding, and renal failure respectively. And one marrow occupation by the expanding plasma cell clone usually manifests as anemia, thrombocytopenia, and leukopenia. So this plasma cell clone, so this will proliferate, and in the bone marrow it will cause anemia, thrombocytopenia, and leukopenia. In addition, the interaction between myeloma cells and the bone microenvironment, so again there will be a interaction between the myeloma cells and also the bone microenvironment. So this will lead to activation of the osteoclast, so which are activated? Osteoclast, and there will be a suppression of osteoblast resulting in bone loss. So there is activation of osteoclast, suppression of osteoclast, and bone loss. Several intracellular and intercellular signaling cascades. What are the cascades? Intracellular and intercellular intra and intercellular signaling cascades, numerous chemokines and interleukins are implicated in this complex process. Intracellular and intercellular signaling cascades, numerous chemokines and interleukins are implicated in this complex process. So histopathology, so we have to do a bone marrow aspirate and biopsy. So when we do this bone marrow aspirate and biopsy, we can estimate the percentage of abnormal plasma cells. So this percentage, so this is required in the diagnostic criteria for myeloma. So we are doing a bone marrow aspirate and biopsy, and then we are estimating the percentage of the abnormal plasma cells. So this, it is required in the diagnostic criteria of myeloma. So the plasma cells seen in multiple myeloma, they have several possible morphologies. Okay, they'll have the different morphologies. First, they could take the form of a mature normal plasma cell. So how is this mature normal plasma cell? There will be it's a large cell. So this large cell, it is 2 or 3 times the size of a lymphocyte. So how many times the size of a lymphocyte? 2 or 3 times the size of a lymphocyte, and it's a large cell. It's a single eccentric nucleus. Nucleus is eccentric and displaced by an abundant basophilic cytoplasm. So this nucleus is displaced by an abundant basophilic cytoplasm, and the Golgi apparatus typically produces a light colored area next to the nucleus called a perinuclear halo. So next to the nucleus, what this Golgi apparatus, so this will produce a light colored area, okay, a light colored area next to the nucleus. So it's called a perinuclear halo. The Golgi apparatus typically produces a light colored area next to the nucleus called a perinuclear halo. Secondly, they can have features of so that was a mature plasma cell. Now they can also have the features of immaturity. So what are the features of immaturity? Low nuclear cytoplasmic ratio, larger size, loose chromatin, plasmablast. So the features of immaturity are low nuclear cytoplasmic ratio, larger size, loose chromatin, that is a plasmablast. Here the nuclear cytoplasmic ratio will be low, size will be larger and loose chromatin. And other possible morphologies are bizarre multinucleated cells, flame cells with fiery red cytoplasm, or Mott cells that show multiple clustered cytoplasmic droplets. So the other possible morphologies of this plasma cells are, they could be bizarre multinucleated cells will be there. There will be a flame cells with fiery red cytoplasm, flame cells with fiery red cytoplasm, or there will be Mott cells, flame cells with fiery red cytoplasm, Mott cells. This Mott cells, they show multiple clustered cytoplasmic droplets. So what does these Mott cells contain? Multiple clustered cytoplasmic droplets, bizarre multinucleated cells, flame cells with fiery red cytoplasm. Bone marrow, it is usually hypercellular. Bone marrow is hypercellular and diffusely infiltrated by plasma cells. So why hypercellular bone marrow? Because it is infiltrated by plasma cells. And rarely, in these plasma cells can be seen in the peripheral blood. So then we call it as a plasma cell leukemia. So if these plasma cells, if they are seen in the peripheral blood, we call it as plasma cell leukemia. And immunohistochemistry, it can detect plasma cells that express immunoglobulin in the cytoplasm and occasionally on the cell surface. So these plasma cells, they have the immunoglobulin in the cytoplasm, and even the immunoglobulin, it is also on the cell surface. So myeloma cells are typically, so which are positive, 38, 138. okay, 38 positive, 138 positive, CD 56 positive, this is important, okay, 38, 138, CD 56, CD 319 positive, CD 319, 38, 138, then 319, okay, and CD 19 and 45 negative. CD 19 and 45 negative. Clonality is confirmed by kappa or lambda light chain restriction. So the clonality is confirmed by kappa or lambda light chain restriction. Then history and physical examination. The presentation is quite variable. So it is typically more subacute and insidious in onset, okay, subacute and insidious. They can present with severe symptoms. So what are the symptoms? It's an older adult, no, various symptoms will be there, okay. So these are CRAB. So what are these CRAB symptoms? Hypercalcemia, renal dysfunction, anemia and or bone pain with lytic lesions. So what are these symptoms? Hypercalcemia, CRAB, hypercalcemia, renal dysfunction, anemia and bone pain with lytic lesions. Hypercalcemia, renal dysfunction, anemia and bone pain with lytic lesions. So in one retrospective single institution study, it was found that in newly diagnosed multiple myeloma, the following symptoms were most common. So what are the following symptoms? So anemia, it was seen in 73% of the patients. So how many percent of the patients? 73. Bone pain in 58%. So anemia is more common, and bone pain in 58. Creatinine is elevated in 48%. Fatigue in 32, hypercalcemia in 28, and weight loss in 24. The most common symptom is anemia and bone pain, and then elevated creatinine. Later, fatigue, hypercalcemia and weight loss. More specifically, hypercalcemia caused by bone demineralization. Okay, why is this hypercalcemia caused? By bone demineralization. So this will result in increased thirst and urination. Hypercalcemia by bone demineralization, increased thirst and urination. There will be a bone pain, abdominal pain, nausea or vomiting, and altered mental status. So what can we see? Bone pain, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, and altered mental status. Renal failure resulting from light chain case nephropathy. So there will be a renal failure from light chain case nephropathy and or hypercalcemia. So renal failure, because of all the accumulated light chains, there will be renal failure and there will be hypercalcemia. So this will lead to edema, acidosis and electrolyte disturbances. So this will lead to edema, acidosis and electrolyte disturbances, and anemia develops likely secondary to bone marrow replacement. Anemia, no, it will develop likely secondary to because of all the bone marrow replacement, because of the plasma cells, anemia will occur, and there also will be a decreased erythropoietin levels. So this will result in fatigue, pallor, palpitations and worsening heart failure or angina. And bone pain resulting from the osteolytic lesions often results in pathological fractures and vertebral collapse. So the bone pain, no, so resulting from the osteolytic lesions. So there will be osteolytic lesions. So because of the osteolytic lesions, this often results in pathological fractures and vertebral collapse. So there will be a pathological fracture, vertebral collapse. There will be a reduced height reducing height, spinal cord compression, radicular pain or kyphosis. So vertebral collapse will be there, the height will be reduced, there will be a spinal cord compression, radicular pain or kyphosis. And although rare, peripheral neuropathy and carpal tunnel syndrome may also be present. So what else can be present? peripheral neuropathy and carpal tunnel syndrome can be present. So if identified, further workup should be undertaken. So why this peripheral neuropathy and carpal tunnel syndrome is occurring? So this peripheral neuropathy and carpal tunnel syndrome is occurring because of an underlying component of amyloidosis. Okay, so which component? Underlying component of amyloidosis. And also uncommon hyperviscosity symptoms may be present. So what are these hyperviscosity symptoms? Bleeding, confusion. So there will be a platelet dysfunction, confusion, neurological symptoms because of the thrombosis, vision changes, or heart failure. Despite being rare, so this hyperviscosity, it is crucial to identify these findings as it is a medical emergency. And finally, multiple myeloma patients are more prone for infections. So what are the infections? Pneumonia and pyelonephritis. So assessing for recurrent illness is important. So they are more prone for infections, pneumonia and pyelonephritis. So assessing for recurrent illness. So why peripheral neuropathy and carpal tunnel syndrome? Because of underlying amyloidosis. Bone demineralization leads to hypercalcemia. Anemia develops due to bone marrow replacement and decreased erythropoietin level. So bone pain results from osteolytic lesions. So what are positive? 38, 138 positive, and what are positive? 319 positive, 56 positive. So which is negative? 19 and 45 negative. Clonality, kappa or lambda light chain restriction. So several possible morphologies: 2 to 3 times plasma cell, 2 to 3 times the size of a lymphocyte, eccentric nucleus, and abundant basophilic cytoplasm will be there. Sometimes flame cells with fiery red cytoplasm will be seen. And it's a stage in the spectrum of monoclonal gammopathy, monoclonal gammopathy of unknown significance without any evidence of end organ damage. And genetic alterations, so increased expression of promoter genes are resistant to apoptosis. And then we have the so African American and black populations twofold increase compared to whites. Oncogenes NRAS, KRAS and BRAF, NRAS, KRAS and BRAF, and clonal plasma cell proliferative disorder and abnormal increase of monoclonal immunoglobulins. At least one of the following clinical manifestations: hypercalcemia, renal dysfunction, anemia or bone pain, and by lytic lesions.